Welcome to the Supreme Court Podcast. All opinions expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views of the Supreme Court. For clarity, the text of the decision prevails.
On December 6 and 7, 2023, Justice Sector representatives from the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branches of government met for the two-day National Decongestion Summit, a conference initiated by the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, or JSCC, to examine and address the challenges faced by the country's detention and penal facilities. Through the National Decongestion Summit, the JSCC, which is composed of the Supreme Court, the Department of Justice, and the Department of the Interior and Local Government, brought together justices, judges, prosecutors, law enforcement officials, legal experts, and community leaders to discuss the issues faced by jails and prisons nationwide and to explore viable solutions to alleviate jail overcrowding and improve rehabilitation and reintegration into society of persons deprived of liberty, or PDLs. This year, the JSCC will once again gather justice sector policymakers and practitioners, as well as civil society representatives, to build on the gains of the first summit, this time to focus on long-term and legislative reforms to sustainably address jail and prison overcrowding. The second National Decongestion Summit, scheduled to take place from January 21 to January 23, 2026, seeks to build on achievements of the first summit while turning attention to long-term structural and legislative reforms required to sustainably decongest Philippine jails and prisons. This remains a pressing challenge for the justice sector, affecting not only PDLs, but the full breadth of the criminal justice system. One message remains clear: meaningful reform requires sustained collaboration across all branches of the Philippine government. Where does our government stand today in terms of addressing the persistent challenge of congestion in jails and detention centers? What plans are being put in place to ensure lasting, human, and effective solutions? Hi, I'm Attorney Mike Navalio, Supreme Court Chief Communications Officer. It's the 16th of January 2026. Today, as we prepare for the second National Decongestion Summit, we'll talk about jail and prison overcrowding, as well as the government's continuing efforts to reduce admissions, increase the number of PDLs released, and expand the capacity of facilities. And joining us are Court of Appeals Associate Justice Jaime Fortunato Caringal, New Bilibid Prison Superintendent Senior Superintendent Roger Boncales, and Bureau of Jail Management and Penology Community Relations Service Office Acting Chief Jail Superintendent J-Rex Joseph Bustinera. They each represent member institutions under the Justice Sector Coordinating Council. Justice Caringal, who also serves as Vice Chairperson of the JSCC Technical Working Group on Processes and Capacity Building for the Supreme Court. Corrections Senior Superintendent Boncales for the New Bilibid Prison, which is operated by the Bureau of Corrections under the Department of Justice, and Jail Superintendent Bustinera, who also serves as the BJMP spokesperson under the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Hi, Justice Caringal, Corrections Senior Superintendent Boncales, and Jail Superintendent Bustinera. Welcome to the Supreme Court Podcast.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Mike.
Attorney.
All right, thank you,
Yes,
Justice
good
Caringal.
afternoon.
Thank you, Justice Caringal, and Senior Superintendent Boncales for coming all the way to the Supreme Court, and Superintendent Bustinera for joining us via Zoom. Glad to have you all with us today. So let me begin with Justice Caringal. Let's talk about the National Decongestion Summit. I know it's the second iteration of the summit. What is the rationale behind organizing the National Decongestion Summit, and what does it hope to accomplish?
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me again in the podcast. No? So let me preface my answer by saying that congestion of our jail and prison facilities is a core justice issue, no? And in fact, it may be considered a human rights issue, no? It is arguably a crisis that the principal agencies of the JSCC are aware of. And as you've mentioned, the members of the JSCC are the Supreme Court, the DOJ, and the DILG. No? Mm-hmm. While each of these agencies have separately pursued their individual solutions to ease the problem of congestion, as we have learned from our experience from the JSCC, some approaches are best formulated and implemented when we come together, no? Mm-hmm. Particularly as the JSCC, no? And so this is at its core what the National Decongestion Summit is for, no? to have a shared national conversation that is transparent and accountable, and most importantly, focused on bringing solutions to this particular problem, the problem of congestion. No? In the first summit 2 years ago, the president, the Speaker of the House, the Senate President, as well as the principals of the JSCC were all there, and they all committed to solve this problem. We also had the NGOs there and the CSOs and experts who gave and proposed solutions to that problem. So the upcoming summit, again, it gives us an opportunity to face the problem head on and to make ourselves accountable for the initiatives that we have committed to pursue in the first summit and, of course, in the upcoming summit.
And later I will ask you, Justice, what are the milestones from that first summit? But first, I want to give our listeners a sense of the situation in our prison facilities. And I pose this question to Senior Superintendent Boncales. How congested are the prisons managed by the Bureau of Corrections? And what factors would you say led to this situation?
So presently, Bureau of Corrections has a total PDL population of more than 53,000. Corrections Prison and Penal Farm is managed by the Bureau of Corrections, continue to operate under the high congestion with the national occupancy levels averaging to approximately at 240% to 250%. So as of 2025, and some regional prisons such as Davao Prison and Penal Farm, Leyte Regional Prison Farm, reporting peaks of over 400%. This level of congestion developed over time due to a combination of sustained increases in conviction rates, long-standing limitation in prison infrastructure expansion, and the historic concentration of persons deprived of liberty at the New Bilibid prison, which is the most highest number of PDL. So in response, Bucor has adopted a deliberately strategic focus on decongestion, regionalization, and facility development to stabilize population levels while ensuring secure custody and humane condition for the PDL. So that's why Bucor is keep on coordinating with other agencies to decongest prison and penal farm.
And I'm just curious, Superintendent Boncales, at its worst, what was the highest congestion rate in the prisons managed by Bucor?
So the highest congestion rate is more than 300, I think 60%, but now it is lower than 214%.
Right. So, wow, more than 300%
Yes,
at its worst. And I wonder if this is the same situation at the BJMP. Spokesperson Bustinera, what about the jails under the BJMP? What is the congestion rate, and what would account for this?
The congestion rate for the BJMP right now is at 279%. We came far. From 2017, we were at 612%, so more than half bumaba sa ating congestion rate. Primary factors, of course, that is beyond the control of the BJMPs, of course, the arrest of our law enforcement agencies, and kung gaano rin kabilis yung output ng ating courts. So, and based on our records, mas marami naman pong lumalabas kaysa sa pumapasok. So that's the current situation of our congestion.
612%. Sir, anong year to?
2017.
2017.
612%.
Wow, that's really big. And I'm curious, what is the impact of this congestion rate, sir, in Bilibid or in other prisons of Bucor and in the jails under BJMP? Anong manifestation nito, sir, kapag nagsisiksikan na? Anong nagiging effect ng ganitong congestion rate?
Yes, maraming negative effects ang congestion. Number one is, of course, for the welfare and the humane conditions of our persons deprived of liberty ay talaga negatively affected. Primarily, maraming health reasons, sakit sa balat, and other, mas nagiging at risk sila for respiratory disease. Nakita namin yan sa data that nung mas siksikan pa ang piita namin, mas maraming mataas ang comorbidity and mortality rate ng ating persons deprived of liberty compared to now na mas mababa. Isa ring negative effect yan is the mental health for PDL. At dahil nga sa ganyang sitwasyon ay naapektuhan ang kanilang psychological well-being. And other than that, ang aming mga negative incident ay correlated din dyan. Katulad ng noise barrage, riot, discontent among the PDL population is as a cause of related to congestion. And of course, even ang employees po namin is at risk. May mga employees kami recorded in congested facilities who also contracted tuberculosis or other respiratory disease. Na even ang aming empleyado ay negatively affected. So more or less yun po yung ating situation dyan.
And I can imagine during COVID time, no, how the situation must be in our prisons. What about in Bucor, sir?
So, with regards with the Bucor, actually, Bucor is has a basa plant. Malawak po kasi, for example, the New Bilibid Prison, 10 hectares. So,
Right.
actually, nararamdaman lang po talaga yung congestion once na si PDL is papasok na sa dormitory, sa building, during night time.
At the
But
end of
during daytime, there is a lot of area na
That they can move around, no?
na pwede lang puntahan. Just like other prison and penal farm. Because, for example, in our Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm, we have 28,000 hectares of land. So that's why our PDL there is talagang ini-impose namin sa kanila na mag-engage into sa agriculture. So para si Bucor is part of the food security of the Philippines. So yan po talaga yung present po namin na mga programs.
Has that helped, sir? Nakatulong ba yung food security programs nyo? Kasi I can imagine one big concern in congested prisons, yung kakulangan ng pagkain.
Yes,
right?
actually po in Iwahig ang laki po ng ani nila with regards to sa rice. So ganoon din po sa Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm. Kasi ang ginawa po ni Bucor, nakapag-engage po kami sa private. So para sila po yung mamumuhunan din, yung mga PDL po namin sila po yung magtatanim. So malaki pong tulong para sa Palawan and as well as sa Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm sa Mindoro. So dito naman po sa New Bilibid Prison, although confined sila sa 3 prison compound. So yun nga, just like I said a while ago na masikip lang during bedtime, but during daytime na pinapayagan naman po silang mag-roam around. Kasi nga engaged naman sila sa mga different programs po ng Bucor. Just like education program, sports and activity, and others po.
But what are the common challenges faced by Bucor PDLs?
Yung common challenges po, just like the my counterpart, yung BJMP, ganoon din po, siyempre, nagkakaroon po nag-exist po talaga yung mga sakit. But meron naman po kaming hospital inside the prison, kaya na-address naman po kaagad. Sa tulong din po ng mga NGOs, tsaka yung mga religious volunteer, tinutulungan po ang Bureau of Corrections.
All right. I want to go back to Justice Karingal. And I want to ask you, Justice, to what extent can the courts and the judiciary help address congestion in prisons and jails? Because some have cited court delays, prolonged pretrial detention as contributory factors to jail congestion. So what reforms or innovations are being pursued by the judiciary to address these challenges?
Okay, thanks for the question. Let me first provide the context to this, no? Because as you know, we are lawyers here. In the regular course of in a criminal proceeding, no one really gets detained or no one really gets imprisoned without a court order, no? And so courts really, because of the nature of their functions, may, I would not say can automatically, but may cause congestion, especially if the inflow of the number of PDLs is greater than the outflow, or it takes, especially if it takes long for a case to be decided on, no? And so it's important for the courts and the judiciary as a whole to address this problem, no, and offer solutions to decongestion. And I'm very happy to say that the Supreme Court has, in fact, and is in fact at the forefront of providing solutions to this problem, no. And at top of my head, I can think of a few. The first one is, and only because I'm a member of that particular committee, no, the Supreme Court is now in the process of looking into certain amendments to the rules on criminal procedure. And one of those being proposed, or one of the salient amendments being proposed, is the introduction of the rule on custodial hearings, no, which is seen, no, as an effective measure to reduce the number of preventive detainees by providing alternatives to detention pending trial. So in this case, a judge is now empowered to determine whether or not during trial an accused should be detained, no? Or there are other modes naman of not detention, but rather there are other modes of ensuring that the said accused will be brought to trial, no, pending trial. The second is through jurisprudence, no. We've seen in April 2004, the Supreme Court promulgated the landmark case of Ginto versus DOJ, no. In that case, the Supreme Court ruled that any convicted prisoner, including those who have been convicted of heinous crimes, no, are entitled to GCTA, no, or Good Conduct Time Allowance pursuant to Article 97 of the RPC, the Revised Penal Code. And then third, also in 2004, the Supreme Court, through the Office of the Court Administrator, issued an OCA circular, no, establishing additional night courts, no? And the establishment of additional night courts really helps, particularly in the processing of bail, particularly they don't need to wait anymore for the next court to be open during regular office hours. No? So that really helps. So these are just a few of the innovations and the reforms that are being introduced by the Supreme Court.
I understand that the DOJ, for its part, Justice, also under the JSCC, has also lowered, for instance, the amount of bail for indigents.
Yes,
there are
yes,
several
that's right.
measures that are being introduced also by the DOJ.
That's right. So as I said a while ago, each of the members of the JSCC, the DOJ, the Supreme Court, the DILG, they have introduced their own particular measures, and then also as a whole, as a council, we have also introduced like a whole of government approach for solutions naman that are cross-cutting across the justice sector.
And let me go to Bucor, Superintendent Boncales. What reforms have so far been initiated, and how effective are these reforms? You mentioned earlier that the congestion rate has gone down and that you have started some projects. So can you tell us a bit more?
So actually, one of the factors is yung na-approve nga yung good conduct time allowance that will be given
Yung
to
Ginto case,
yes,
no?
yung Ginto case.
Paano nabago po? Paano nakatulong?
Nung ano po yan, nung ma-approve po yan, so talagang inutos po ng pamunuan ni General Gregorio Katapang na talagang yung MSEC po namin, yung Management Screening and Evaluation Committee, na talagang 24 hours na magtrabaho para yung records po ng PDL, ma-check po namin kung sino talaga yung mga due for release na. So, kaya way back 2023, ang naging releases po namin, since nung talagang nagsimula na kami mag-conduct ng MSEC with regards sa GCTA po ng mga PDL, so ang releases po namin that time is more than 6,000. And then in 2024 is more than 7,000. Then by the previous years, 2025, we have releases of 10,000 plus. So that is a historical data po na talagang ngayon po nangyari na ganun karami yung lumaya in 1 year time na 10,000 plus. 10,529.
To what extent po na GCTA ang factor dito?
One factor lang only po yung GCTA. So kasi nga tinutulungan po tayo ng other agencies tulad ng PAW, yung Board Pardons and Parole, and yung especially also yung IBP na naka-base po sa sa Parañaque, Pasay, Muntinlupa, Las Piñas. So tinutulungan po nila yung mga PDL na ayusin po yung mga case case record. So malaking factor po yun.
And just for the benefit of our listeners, the good conduct time allowance is actually a benefit given to PDLs who are behaving or observing good conduct.
Yes,
so they're
behaving.
given credits. And before the Ginto ruling, there was confusion as to whether those who are serving
Yes.
sentence
Very
are
limited.
also allowed to benefit from this ruling. But the Ginto ruling has clarified that, and so that has led to more releases. Right? So how about on the part of the BJMP, spokesperson Bustenera, I want to know what measures have been done, decongestion measures that are being implemented at the jail level to address congestion or overcrowding in jails.
Similar to the initiatives of the Bureau of Corrections, GCTA po kasi remained in the implementation of GCTA remained in the BJMP. So most of our releases, nagkakaroon ng early release ang ating mga persons deprived of liberty for GCTA. At ganun din po, may paralegal unit po talaga ang lahat ng 488 jail facilities natin. They have paralegal officers who assist PDL sa mga concerns nila sa court. In some of our jails, especially on jurisdiction na may mga justice zones tayo, tawag natin dati ay Task Force Katarungan, all our paralegal officers are monitoring PDL who have not attended hearings or na pending ang kanilang pagdinig for more than 3 months sa MTC level and more than 6 months sa RTC level. At automatic po ito natitrigger yung case follow-up kapag hindi kumbaga nade-delay yung kanilang pagdinig. At ganun din po, kasama na din dyan of course ang effort ng national government na magpatayo ng new facilities. In fact, we have 142 newly built facilities na zero or negative pa ang congestion rate. And in part kasama rin ito kasi po, kung na-monitor po natin yung mga magagandang facilities na allegedly nga ay pinagawa daw for our mga maanumalyang kaso ngayon na trending. Pero that's not the truth. In fact, it's the standard now of our facilities. Zero congestion. Kaya lang po, marami pa tayong budget na kailangan and hindi naman kayang solusyonan ng pagpapatayo ng infrastruktura ang congestion. Both pagpapatayo ng jail at the same time pag-assist sa kanila para mas mapabilis ang paglabas. Yun po mostly ang nakafocus ang programs natin for decongestion doon.
Right. And
Sir, in addition, on the part of the Bucor, so yung present administration po, marami po tayong pinagagawa na additional facilities for the PDL. Meron pong ongoing na construction po sa Zamboanga. So yan po yung additional na prison and penal farm sa Upper Coron po ng Zamboanga del Sur. Then sa Palawan naman po, ongoing din po yung pagpapatayo po ng regional facilities. Actually, meron na pong isang natapos na almost 10 hectares compound na meron na pong presently meron na isang building na natapos. Then ongoing pa rin po yung mga construction po dyan. Para po talaga kasi nga yung idea po ng present administration na talagang wala na pong malaking prison within the Metro Manila sa NCR. So ililipat na po natin yung mga PDL natin from other prison and penal farm para hindi na po sila maging congested. So meron din po kaming ongoing na tinatayo sa Leyte at sa Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm. So kasi presently meron lang pong 139 buildings or dormitories si Bucor. So we need 68 dormitories para talagang ma-address po natin yung totoong congestion rate po ng Bureau of Corrections. Kasi nga po nakaano po tayo yung capacity natin for its PDL. So naka-anchor tayo with the international standard which is yung kung malalaman natin na yung mga present prison and penal farm is constructed way long time ago.
So not compliant.
Na talagang hindi compliant puro sa sinasabi nila. But because of the siyempre Mandela rules, compliant po tayo dyan. So talagang si Bucor ginagawa niya po yung mga lahat ng paraan para po ma-comply po natin yung need po ng bawat PDL po natin.
Binanggit mo sir na wala nang malaking prison dapat sa loob ng Metro Manila. Tama
Yes
ba?
po.
So anong mangyayari sa Muntinlupa?
So yung Muntinlupa po is magiging headquarters na lang po. And then it will be converted into a government center and a commercial center.
So no more prison in Muntinlupa?
Ganun po ang mangyayari. Kasi po talagang yung present administration, lalo-lalo na po yung director namin, in support of the DOJ, siguro, and then a national government, talagang naghahanap po kami ng mga area para talagang ma-realize po by 2040 na strategic plan po ng Bureau of Corrections na magkaroon na po kami ng regionalization facility. Kaya nga po kahit yung ibang agency talagang yung interagency collaboration po to pati po si NCIP tumulong na po sa amin magbibigay po sila ng mga land all over the Philippines na kung saan po sila meron para si Bucor po patayuan po yan ng mga facilities para po yung reformation program natin, yung rehab program for the PDL talagang mapaganda. Si PDL po natin kung taga-saan po siyang region or ethnic group, doon po natin siya dadalhin para talagang madalaw po siya madalas ang kanya pong mga mahal sa buhay.
Kasi yun po yung isang problem po.
Yun po yung mga initiative po ng present administration ni General Katapang.
And just for the benefit of our listeners, kasi baka nagtataka yung listeners natin, what's the difference between a jail and a prison and what's the delineation of the scope of functions of the Bucor and the BJMP. So jails are for detention facilities for those awaiting or still undergoing trial or serving sentence below 3 years, while those who are serving sentence for more than 3 years doon sa Bucor facilities, right? So let me go back to Justice Karingal because you've been part of the first National Decongestion Summit. What milestones have so far been achieved by the JSCC and by the three agencies in general since the last summit?
Okay. There are a number, and a number of them already have been mentioned by my colleagues over here. But let me just mention some of them. No, the first, which is cross-cutting, is the institutionalization of a digital infrastructure, no, for data management that allows us to improve case management of PDLs through. And this was signed by the principals, no, a memorandum of agreement for the National Justice Information System, or the NGIS, no, and this will greatly improve the tracking of the cases of the PDLs. No, this will enable us to have a macro view of how long of the case life of involving a PDL, how long the PDL has been detained, so that we can determine whether or not a PDL is already eligible for release, notwithstanding the fact that the case is still ongoing. The second is. The Supreme Court has already approved also the rules on the Unified Legal Aid Service, or the ULAS, no? And the purpose of the ULAS is to oblige covered lawyers to render pro bono legal aid services to those who would otherwise be denied access to adequate legal assistance. And a lot of this, I understand, is geared towards helping also those PDLs who have no counsel or who are underrepresented. And then we also have as a third one. No, we are also close to finishing the manual and protocol in the handling of cases of women in conflict with the law, or the WICLs. No, and this will be the first ever sector-based manual for WICLs. No, which will incorporate the Mandela rules and then the Bangkok rules. No, and these are internationally accepted rules on how to handle WICLs. No. And this stems from the understanding that gender-sensitive policies and gender-responsive facilities must be in place to ensure the welfare of the more vulnerable PDLs. No? And so with the manual and protocol, we will ensure that the justice system is able to recognize and support at all times gender-based rights of our PDLs. So that's just a few of some of the innovations, some of the milestones since the last summit.
And for Bucor, Superintendent Bungkales, interagency collaboration is key to addressing jail overcrowding. How is Bucor demonstrating your commitment to preventing congestion? You've mentioned some initiatives, but do you have some initiatives that are being planned or that you want to put in place moving forward?
Sir, we're very thankful po dun sa yung summit. So talagang tinatawag namin Bliss Laya program, talagang nagkaroon ng realization. So yung commitment po ni Bucor talaga para to decongest po yung mga prison facilities. Gaya nga po nung nabanggit ko sa inyo, talagang marami na pong master development plan na ginagawa to construct other prison facility. So for example, si UP donated the 500 hectares to Bucor para magkaroon po kami ng sa southern area, sa Katagalugan, diyan po sa Siniluan. Then in exchange of that 500 hectares na binigay po ni UP, so binigyan din po namin sila ng 500 hectares sa Iwahig dahil UP want to establish UP Palawan. Kaya magkakaroon po ng UP Palawan. Siguro mga 5 years or 10 years sa So yun po yung mga ginagawa. Then continuous po yung pakikipag-collaborate namin sa mga local government na makakuha po ng mga lupa para makapag-establish nga po ng mga other prison. So actually Bucor need additional 68 dormitories talagang para ma-decongest po namin talaga yung Bureau of Corrections. Inline po ron sa 4.7 po na talagang inaano po ng international standard. So marami pong program ginagawa sa panahon po ni General Katapang. Talagang very very eager po kami na ma-decongest po talaga ang Bureau of Corrections para po maiwasan na po yung mga problema na nag-i-exist mga nakaraang panahon. So yun po yung mga present initiative po ng administration po natin.
How about sa BJMP, spokesperson Bustinera, what kind of support or reforms are you looking at, and how will outside sector, outside agencies help the BJMP achieve the reforms that it wants to do to manage congestion and improve human safekeeping?
Okay, for our commitment po, of course, the BJMP bilang custodian sa safekeeping and development ng mga PDL natin under trial, mostly remand population po ito. Of course, we are committed sa patuloy na pag-decongest ng ating mga piitan. At ganun din po yung mga suporta at mga inisyatibo ng, of course, from the justice sector, from other government agencies para sa alternatives to detention. Time and again, even when I was assigned in the field, talagang experience natin, marami namang mga nakakulong ngayon na there could be ways na hindi na sana sila nakulong. Some are bailable na hindi naman afford ang bail. And maybe there could be other pathways for them na hindi na na makulong para hindi na dumagdag sa congestion. And ito mga ongoing initiative ito at nagpa-participate ang BJMP. Pag-collaborate kami on how to come about sa mga sistemang ito. Ganun din po, of course, aside from infrastructure, we are coordinating again with local government units kasi under the DILG, na-institutionalize na rin po namin yung Seal of Good Local Governance ang support to jail facilities. Ibig sabihin, for LGUs to achieve a Seal of Good Local Governance, kailangan konkreto, may parameters talaga na support to local facilities sa ating mga PDL that supports, of course, decongestion, welfare programs of our PDL. And among other programs po, yung digitalization and modernization natin. And hopefully, pag pinagsama-sama natin ito, hopefully may positive impact naman in the long run sa ating congestion rate.
And spokesperson Bustinera and Superintendent Boncales, I also note that you also have other projects for PDLs. Like, for example, you have an art exhibit. They have some handicraft work that are being displayed or being put on sale. May sports programs pa minsan, no?
Yes po. Part po kasi ng reformation and rehabilitation program po ng PDL. Kasi nga, si Bucor nga talagang gusto namin maging sustainable and relevant, tsaka respected po yung PDL namin. That's why nakikipag-partnership po kami sa different agencies. Kaya nga, yung ano po namin, yung lupa namin sa Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm, talagang nakipag-engage po kami with the PESA zone para ma-convert po siya into eco zone. So, kasi nga, ang lawak ng lupa. So, marami pong investor na gustong mag-invest po talaga. So, ang magiging worker po dyan is yung mga PDL namin. So, yan po yung talagang ini-aim po ng Bucor na talagang maging part po kami talaga ng ano. So, sa partnership with the Department of Agriculture, saka sa DENR. So, to allow yung productive use of penal lands para sa agriculture. Kasi nga, we wanted na yung pagkain na ilalapag po sa bawat lamesa ng Pilipino is yung mga PDL po namin is part po niyan. Kaya magiging respetado sila. Ganon din yung pamilya nila na masasabi na, uy, tumutulong pala yung mga parents nyo, although they are incarcerated. Yun po talaga ang in-aim po ng Bucor. Yan po yung mga initiative po ni General Katapang.
I know there's so many issues pa na gusto natin i-cover, but
Yes,
I know we're pressed for time. So I want to give the final thought to Justice Caringal. Justice Caringal, what can we expect from the second National Decongestion Summit?
Okay, so if the first summit was the opportunity for us to understand the problem better, no, and come up with possible solutions, we expect that the second summit is now our opportunity to report 2 years after on what we have already done, and then of course also to push ways forward, no, for bolder reform. No, the second summit I foresee will serve as a full circle moment for the JSCC, no, and of course without closing the chapter on this, no. So in the second summit, we will be talking about the concrete steps that we have taken, such as the manual on the WICLs, the GCTA calculators, as well as initiatives on reintegration, prison audits, and penal alternatives. Now, I won't, of course, discuss all of that in detail here because, as you said, we already there's so much to talk about, no? And I wish to reserve the substance for the summit itself. But rest assured, and I assure everyone, our listeners, that the summit will have a very insightful and very exciting program. And I am very confident that we will be able to learn a lot. We will be able to report on what we have done. And of course, we will be able to come together and propose more reforms for the future.
All right, on that note, thank you so much, Justice Caringal, Senior Superintendent Boncales, and Superintendent Bustinera for joining us today in our discussion. Very interesting. We hope to have you again next time.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, the second National Decongestion Summit, which will take place on January 21 to 23, 2026, will bring together key justice institutions from the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, and will be supported by international partners whose mandates align with the pursuit of humane and fair justice systems, such as the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the Government of Australia, and the European Union through the EU GOJUST program, the International Development Law Organization, and the United Nations Project Service. If you wish to learn more about the upcoming Second National Decongestion Summit, please visit the official Facebook page of the Justice Sector Coordinating Council. In the alternative, you may also check the social media platforms of the Supreme Court, the DOJ, and the DILG for updates about the summit. Here's Steph Atendido Beltran, Supreme Court Information Officer, for this week's updates.
From the Supreme Court of the Philippines, here's the latest. The Supreme Court welcomes the appointment of 140 judges to first and second level trial courts all over the country. 79 judges were appointed to Metropolitan Trial Courts, Municipal Trial Courts, Municipal Circuit Trial Courts, and Municipal Trial Courts in cities, while 61 judges will assume their posts at Regional Trial Courts. On Wednesday, January 14, 2026, the Supreme Court or SC held its first on-bank session for the year at the Sala de Sesiones, Ayuntamiento de Manila. The SC occupied the Ayuntamiento from 1938 to 1945. The historic building formed part of the pre-war complex in Intramuros, occupied by the court from its establishment in 1901 until 1945. Chief Justice Alexander Esmundo, Senior Associate Justice Marvic Leonen, and all the SC Associate Justices were present. During the session, the court en banc reversed a COMELEC resolution canceling the certificate of candidacy of Errol Comafay Jr., a candidate for Sangguniang Panlunsod member in the 2025 elections. The SC ruled that the omission of a comma in Comafay's residential address does not amount to a material misrepresentation, as the omission did not change the meaning of the address or relate to his qualifications. Comafay also did not act in bad faith. Meanwhile, the court en banc noted the compliance of former government official Lorraine Marie Badoy, informing the court that she had already paid the 30,000 peso fine for indirect contempt. In August 2023, she was found guilty of indirect contempt for statements she made online attacking Judge Marlo Magdoza Malagar of Branch 19, Regional Trial Court, Manila. Meanwhile, the SC has suspended the sentence of a child in conflict with the law, or CICL, reaffirming the intent of Republic Act No. 9344, or the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act, to promote the best interests and rehabilitation of the child. In a panensya by then Associate Justice Maria Lopez, the court en banc denied the appeal of XXX 265302 and found him guilty of qualified rape of a minor. It remanded the case to the Regional Trial Court to order the accused's confinement in an agricultural camp or other training facility under Section 51 of the law. The accused, who was 15 at the time of the incident, is now 25 years old. Section 40 of RA 9344 provides that when the CICL reaches 18 while under suspended sentence, the court may either discharge them, order the execution of their sentence, or extend the suspended sentence for a period or until they reach the maximum age of 21. The SC extended the suspension of his sentence to fulfill the law's legislative intent, which prioritizes the child offender's restoration, rehabilitation, and reintegration into the community. On Wednesday, January 14, the SC signed a Deed of Usufruct with the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, or BCDA, for a property to be used for the construction of the Baguio City Hall of Justice building. The lot is a 10,000 square meter prime property located in Camp John Hay, Baguio City. The signing was held at the Ayuntamiento de Manila's Salon de Baile, or Marble Hall. Court Administrator Maria Teresa Dolores Gomez Estuesta served as signatory on the court's behalf, while President and Chief Executive Officer Engineer Joshua Bingkang signed for BCDA. Deputy Court Administrator for Operations Leo Madrazo and BCDA Chairperson Attorney Hilario Paredes served as witnesses. In her message, Court Administrator Estuesta expressed gratitude to the BCDA and the John Hay Management Corporation. The agreement, she said, serves as a clear example of what can be achieved when there is trust, understanding, and collaboration among government institutions. Also on Wednesday, the SC signed a deed of donation with the national government through the Department of Finance or DOF and the Bureau of the Treasury for properties which will be used in the delivery of justice. These properties are located in Mandaluyong City, Makati City, and Davao City. Serving as signatories were Court Administrator Estuesta and National Treasurer Sharon Almanza, while Chief Justice Alexander Esmundo and DOF Acting Secretary Frederick Go served as witnesses. In her message, Court Administrator Estuesta said the donation signifies the national government's confidence that the judiciary is a partner in working towards our nation's betterment and in delivering public service with dignity and integrity. Finally, the Office of the Bar Confident has announced that the period to complete the clearance procedure for the 2025 successful bar examinees is extended until Monday, January 19, 2026, 3 o'clock p.m. Completion of the procedure within the period is required to be able to participate in the oath-taking and roll-signing ceremonies on February 6, 2026. You are now up to date with the Philippine Supreme Court. I am Tifa Tendido Beltran, Supreme Court Information Officer.
And that's our podcast this week. Join us again next time for a detailed discussion of select cases decided by the Supreme Court. I'm Attorney Mike Navalio, your Supreme Court Chief Communications Officer. You can catch this podcast as well as previous episodes on the Supreme Court Public Information Office's accounts on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. This podcast episode was produced by the Supreme Court Public Information Office, with Attorney Mike Navalio as overall in charge of production, Attorney Karen Martinez as supervising producer, Jay Rempilio, executive producer, Tiff Atendido Beltran, producer, May Sibal, Attorney Ian Aldueso, Attorney Sheila Reyes, and Ramir Simbahon as researchers and writers, Brian Austria, Don Ryan Balza, and Vinny Laranio as audio editors, Lawrence Olaño and Austin Aliscat as video editors, Bea Batong as graphic artist, and Tyke Flores and Jerome Batumalake as web editors.